All right. Good morning, everyone. As always, we'll go over the broad market. We'll go over some top ideas, and we'll take it from there. So, again, last week, let me just get this up. Last week, the market pulled in. The first time that this, run up we had in the new year has started to fade. We retraced about 50% of the initial up move that we had for the start of the year, and we've started to pull into this somewhat significant trend line that we've been in since the market bottom back in October. So for all of last year, we obviously know we were in a breakdown stage. We were putting in lower lows, lower highs. And from October, after we put in that kind of capitulation low in the middle of October, we've started to put in higher pivot lows and some somewhat higher pivot highs, which are good signs to see that we're trending in a different fashion than we were all of last year. And now this is the week where, do we hold this trend line or do we bounce off it and continue back towards 420? Now, in reality, this probably is going to shake lower, in my opinion, and we probably shift more into more of like a base that we've been seeing for most of the year anyways, or we're trading more in this horizontal range and this, somewhat of an uptrend. So I'm thinking that we still push down below this, but if it does hold, we can have that little sneaky buyback back up through like 402 in the SPY versus the low. But if we were to shake this, I wouldn't be that surprised. We did see the 10-year trying to, flag out a little bit up here around 4%, where the last few times it just got up here and completely faded. So if this continues to inch higher, could add some pressure on the broader markets to kind of roll over. But again, this is just healthy action. This isn't anything, out of the ordinary. Markets can't just continue higher every day for months and months at a time. So nothing too crazy, just regular price action. Again, looking through most of the sectors, most is all the same thing. They just had this, telecom had a 20% run up in a month and it's pulled back 10%, just kind of orderly trading for the most part. Financial still within this base, back at 388 looks great in time. So a lot of the sectors, again, they're all looking healthy. They're all within their major bases. None of them are really testing new lows. They're just normal trading. So definitely seems like you want to be a little more patient this week, maybe except for how healthcare looks a little weak. But on to a couple of top ideas. I have a couple orders in. We have this GL, not really caring about the little pull in the market, this blue sky breakout up through 124 for now and very tight risk versus 120. UPS, we snuck into this on Friday, up through 180 versus this 176. And in the short term, just looking for a move back up into like the 188 to 190 area. Ideally, selling into 192 would be the goal for this shorter term trade. Otis, like that GL, also flagging nicely. This is not a blue sky breakout, but still a decent little flag up here on, $2.50 risk. We have this AME. This is a blue sky breakout through this 148, which looks very good in time, but for now it's pulling into support. So as it does pull in, we'll see if it does start to test this 135, we can find, some type of support buyback. For now, wherever the pivot low does form, if it doesn't come back down to here, we can look for that feeler entry through 144 and then that bigger entry through 148. And then Monster, of course, still within this bigger flag, still chopping around. We'll see if it kind of wants to push through 100 and potentially test the 98 area this week, with another one that, again, we've been trying, to buy this 104 or 105 or, up near resistance, where maybe we need to find the better kind of shakeout entry and buy it up off of support in the flag versus trying to break the resistance of that flag. So there is, again, with the market at a, somewhat important inflection point and being somewhat weak last week, it still seems to be that there is some, names flagging out there that we can take advantage of. So with that, Heaven, I'll pass it over to you.
Yep.
Over any member ideas.
For sure. All right. So Abby's got a few here. The first one she was looking at is this PNR through 56.
I think you need to just give this some time to set up some more
Yeah, that's what we kind of went over some things yesterday on a little afternoon chart scanning, but yeah, I kind of agreed that this one hasn't really, if you look at a lot of charts that we've been looking at, right, it had a strong downtrend. If you look at a weekly chart, you get the strong downtrend and then you get several months of basing. I think
Mhm.
it still needs to do that basing, right? We've kind of only, it did break that 52 area that it had a little bit of a base, but I think that 60 area is a little more important. So I think if this one could consolidate a little bit more, give it a couple more weeks through that 60 area looks more interesting to me than trying to buy it at 56.
Yeah.
But what I did like is that the risk is pretty tight, right? Even if you were
Mhm.
taking that 56 for a move just to 60, you're risking $2 to make, $4, which is it's 2 to 1, which isn't amazing, but in this environment, 2 to 1 and base hits have been working. So
Yeah.
um,
It's just when you get these moves, these massive 3-day moves, like it's fading it now, it's hard to, like, you see this and you expect that to continue the second time, and very rarely, like even this, you see this, like this bigger move, and then it just chops around for much
mhm.
longer. Like this is November, beginning of November until basically, and so 2 months this after this, you know, very strong up move. It took 2 months before it was really ready. It's only been,
Mhm.
2 weeks. So you just, when you have these big up moves, just it needs more time to kind of mess around, then breaks 56 and goes back to 60.
Yeah. Next one she's looking at is LMT, Lockheed Martin. I like this one a lot, actually. I think there's a good amount of defense names setting up pretty nicely, which, usually when the market doesn't do too well, these tend to move. So
Mhm.
it's always good to kind of have that other side of the coin ready to go. You have this really tight flag. It just basically went sideways all week last week,
Mhm.
while the market was just kind of all over the place. Inside day Friday, this looks pretty solid through that 484 stop
Mhm.
under 475.
Mhm.
Um, and then, for the ideal anticipation of breaking this 490 area, since it's,
Mhm.
it's tested it so many times, probably that 500 would probably be the first area where I'd look to take some profits because it is the first technical retest of those
Mhm.
highs. And then, try to keep a piece if it wants to go higher. But yeah, I like this one a lot.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. This I would take. This is super tight risk,
Mhm.
and everything you said, 100%
Yeah.
agreement.
Next one is Copart, CPRT. Looking to buy this one through 70.25.
Just buy it up 70. Yeah, I mean, you buy it at 70 versus 68. Earnings are not for quite a bit.
All right, you got like 3 months.
Yeah,
They already
you have plenty of
passed. So
time.
yeah, this one looks pretty good. For a move, basically, back to that 75 area and then potentially 80. Those would be like the profit taking areas for sure.
Mhm.
Next one, ASO. I have this one on my list as well. I've missed it twice now, 2 setups.
Uh-oh.
So I'm trying to not miss it this time. We'll see. I missed that initial breakout through the 50, 57 area, and then it retested my 57 and gave a nice little doji at lows and then a nice move back up. So I'm waiting for this one to continue to set up, but it's been super strong. Like there's no denying that. So definitely looking for a potential support buy on this one. She's looking to buy it through 60, which is, yeah, I mean, that makes sense. 60 versus Friday's lows 58, for a move back to highs to 64 area. But
Yeah, I
personally, I
mean,
think it needs a little more
yeah,
time.
I think, yeah, just like I kind of drew out what this little kind of wedge up here could be, this overall trend that it's been on, probably has to fill this out a little bit more. And it's, again, buying up through 60 just sounds like a clean number, like buying 50, buying 100, but it really is just Friday's high, or what
Mhm.
it couldn't break Friday. I mean, it kind of did mess around, a couple times here, but I think you need to let this tighten up in here and find I don't think if you're giving it $2, I don't think you're going to get $10 out of this thing,
Mhm.
this week,
Yeah.
but definitely want to keep on the radar.
Yeah. Next one, GL Globe Life. I mean, Nice flag at highs. Yeah, you already have it written out. There you go. So
Mhm.
GL through that 124 area looks really good. And then our good friend LW that gave us a little failed breakout
Mhm.
last week. Are you still in this one? Did you get stopped
No,
out?
no, I got stopped out.
Okay, you got stopped out. Okay. Which I mean, you were in at 100 and you got stopped out at 99.
99.89. Yeah. So I
Yeah,
lost
so
nothing,
you
but
take that every time, and then
yeah.
eventually when it does break, you're making your money back and then some. So, but yeah, I mean, this one, it did fail, but then it held, it did kind of put in a new pivot on Friday. It kind of, I think it just depends on if it'll hold that or not.
No, this has got to pull in a little bit more. These are always ones where it's
Think
like when
so?
it comes back to the breakout, like we always want them to go that day. And it's like very rarely is it going to hold this perfectly and turn
Mhm.
back up. This needs to, really pull back in and get underneath that 100. And then we
Little
can buy
sneaky
back up
buyback
through it.
through
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
So if this was to pull into even if it was to come back down to 93 and get back up there, probably
Mhm.
would be even better. We just had it on such little risk. And that
Yeah.
again, we were risking $2. It went $2. So that's kind of like when you get those very, very, very tight entries, sometimes this is the result of it. It only had a $2 pull in,
Mhm.
went $2 higher. If this were to pull back to 92, we'd probably hate it. And then when it gets back to 100, it probably does go to 108. So I would expect a little bit more of a pull in,
Yeah,
but I'll be ready to buy 100 again. That I have no
Mhm.
problem doing.
for sure. Next one, CHD. So CHD, Abby was looking to buy us to 84. I was
Mhm.
saying to just wait for like 80, 85, 86, I think is like the spot. It's you really don't want to get caught buying early and then sitting in chop, right? Because you
Mhm.
can tell that this is a fairly choppy name. So you don't want to get chopped out. I think 85 is the spot for this one.
Yeah, I mean, I see both. Just with the name itself being that, consumer staples, kind of boring stock in general.
Hmm.
If she could buy, like I even had 85 written here for the base break. But I could see 84 just because if she's going to give this $1, like if she's going to buy 84 versus 83, I would be more in that camp. If she's going to buy 84 versus 82 and give it $2, I wouldn't. Like if she's keeping this much tighter here for almost like that LMT where it's just super tight for those couple of days. I'm with that. Just because this isn't going to be a stock that we're going to hold it to 100. If this got to back up to 90, it'd be an insane move for this name since it is just lower beta of a name in general. So I could see the 84 just because then she can risk maybe $1 and she has a little bit better risk reward than buying 85, which would be the better break it area, but she have to give it at least $2 or $3 from there. And the upside is going to be like that extra $1 in this type of name could make a difference.
So what would you say is the difference here versus that LW buying through Friday's high with a stop under Friday's lows, since you're risking about $1 as well?
So this is just, this is top right, blue sky breakout, in this, and we had that, well, I guess this was $2 risk initially, but once it broke, it was just giving this to break even, where for Church and Dwight, you're not like, for LW, the goal was to make $8 in the name, which was realistic through that all-time high.
Okay,
Here, there's just so much that this name has to battle with, and just knowing this name, that is just, again, lower beta consumer staples. It's not a tech name. It's not going to do anything crazy. It's just going to be more price action that I would be okay with that $1 risk here versus the $2 risk up here, because I know I'm not going to get, like, I can get $5 out of this name conservatively. I don't think I can get $10 realistically.
I see what you're saying. Yeah, so it's just from a risk reward
Yeah.
standpoint.
Yeah.
I gotcha. Okay. Let's see what else we got. ELF through 75.50. Weekly charts telling me this one probably needs more time.
Yeah.
Just because I mean, it went from 20 in like less than a year. It's up like almost 3x,
Yeah.
4x.
This reminds me a lot like Baba was a few months, like I guess end of last month, where Baba was up 100%. It looked amazing. People wanted to buy through 120, and it's like, and Baba's, stock I really like long term, but it went 100%. It just like it needs to reset. It's not just going to continue this forever because it has
Mhm.
done that. And since it's faded, half that move. And I think ELF is like a very similar example, things up 300%. It's, flagging after really good, earnings, but it hasn't retested it. We know the stock needs to retest, needs to attempt it a third or fourth time. That's when you're going to get it. You're not going to get this. You're not going to buy the retest and it's going to go to 90. That's, you're going to buy 75 at the retest and it's going to 76.50 and then it's going to fade. So this needs to really form an actual pattern, an actual
Yeah.
flag up here, like even like LW. Like LW had to retest it, won a couple cents, had to fade it, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, it goes.
Yeah.
But there's something, this time isn't different with ELF. It needs to do the same thing. It needs to develop and needs more time.
Yep. Chip's looking at ORI. It's looking for the moving averages to catch up and flagging under 26 or 20, flagging under 2670, I guess. But yeah, I mean, really nice
This
flag.
looks really
Right?
good.
You see the weekly chart. It's already had multiple attempts here back in 2022 and 2021. Flagging here again. This looks very, very solid.
Yeah, this is definitely, I think, like the best one so far. You're giving this not even $1. I mean, that super tight. Yeah, I mean, looks great. You're buying 26.75 versus 26. Tried this level for 2 years now. High and tight flag. Earnings out of the way.
Yeah,
Great
I mean,
earnings. It's like, what more can you ask for? This is probably the best chart that we've seen in a while.
really solid, really, really solid. Finance industry. So I don't know how explosive it'll be, but I mean, it got a nice move on earnings, like the textbook earnings flag. This is definitely worth a shot. What else we got? George has a few. He said SGen, gapping up on earnings and consolidating, looking for an entry through recent highs. Looks like it's gapping even higher this morning.
Yeah, it's
Apparently
up here. It's in the
there's,
80s.
yeah, it looks like it's got buyout rumors. So, yep, that's a scratch.
Yeah. 10
Good
minutes
scratch
too
that
late.
one out. Yep. Let's see, Oracle. He's looking at Oracle through 91. Just think of this one.
Probably just buy through 90. But it looks good. I mean, it definitely, the stuff that was a spot when this name was starting to break down at the beginning of the year, as most stocks were, based out for the entire year. Again, things that we don't expect it to take that long, which ends up happening. It does have earnings. Well, I guess you got like 2 weeks for earnings. But it's a nice, textbook little flag here. I would just buy through 90, and then whatever that entry is at the time or the stop is at the time, you determine that. But for now, it seems 90 versus 85.
Yeah. Yeah, looks solid. And then the last one he's got is HIG through 79.
Right, so definitely, yeah. I mean, that would be like the blue sky area. Probably has to develop a little bit more. This is 79 here. So first attempt, retest. So, yeah, he could take it through 79. For now, you got $2.50 risk for 76. But definitely worth keeping on the radar. Maybe trying to find a little tighter of an entry, but looks good.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I think that's everything for the member ideas. Let me see. I was looking at this CAG. That's kind of forming a little sneaky buyback here through this 37 area. If you look at a weekly chart, it's like it's just had like 4 weeks of very tight price action. And that's kind of been, that 37's been just a level that it's played around with very often. So just like a 37 versus 35.50 for a move back towards 40.
At the almost inception of the alpha chat, we took Conagra through 38. This is back in 20. I still have like the thing circled. But
That's crazy.
this is like a big round trip. I remember this trade.
All
I was
right,
on the
well,
trade.
let's take it again, and this time we'll sell
Yeah.
it at
I
42
almost
and
like once you said it, I was like, I would never buy this name just because I remember being and nothing. It's just I remember being in this name. I can see I saw like the trades drawn. Like, this is
uh-huh.
like a massive round trip. It looked great. Got like killed onto earnings, faded the whole move. And then we got like a really sick trade years later, right? I guess before the pandemic,
Mhm.
nice, 15-20% move. And it's just been under like it just battled with this 30, 34, 40 area for the longest time.
All right, well, it's round three. It's round three
Yeah.
now. TE
Right.
versus
So
CHG. Let's see
you
what
were looking at
happens.
through what,
30,
636?
yeah, through the 37, that little base
Yeah.
that it's forming. Seems like a nice like low risk sort of entry. What else do I have on my list? Honestly, I'm really waiting to see what the overall market does this week. I think that just looking at the SPY, how much volatility it's had, yeah, I mean, you marked it out, right? It's like, is it going to fully shake out that little support area that you put and then bounce? Is it just going to dump right through it? I think we got a lot of market time this week. I don't think we need to be guns blazing the first hour of the week and buying stuff, especially on this gap up. So just be patient. It's also the end of the month. A lot of people, if they're like slightly red on the month or they haven't hit their green goal, they try to push it for these last 2 days and then they end up wiping themselves out for the month.
Mhm.
I mean, I know I've personally experienced that before. So, just take it easy, be really patient, be selective, wait for those A+ setups to form,
Yeah.
and we'll take it from there.
Yeah. Me and Shake, I was talking to Shake on the weekend, and we were talking about the same thing. Like for me with LW, I was probably the heaviest I've been from a swing trading standpoint in this name. And then to have given a back break even, I'm like, damn, like even though it didn't go anywhere near the target, it was
Mhm.
just like giving that back. And then on Friday, I was like, all right, what can I find to make up for that? And I was like, and it was like red flag. I was like, nope, that's stupid. I can't, like, just because this trade didn't work. And granted, I didn't lose anything. I just gave back like P&L.
Mhm.
That is like, I can't just put more risk on something else to make up for that. And that was like just the sit out, like just do nothing for the day. And now it's like, it's a new day. I can care less about it, but I will gladly buy it back if it sets up. And it was that same kind of premise. I'm just not trying to force things at the end of the month to, put some green on the screen. When you do that, you often find the other result. So got a couple minutes to the open, guys. Again, definitely that best chart was that ORI, right?